Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest Ellen Wood, who's here to share with us her books, The Secret Method for Growing Younger, My Journey Through Alzheimer's to the Fountain of Youth Using the Law of Attraction, and the second volume for The Secret Method for Growing Younger, 7 Mind, Body, Spirit Self-Help Practices to Reverse Memory Loss and Have More Joy, Joy, Joy. So are there real practical steps we can take to restore our vitality at any age? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Ellen Wood is a columnist, artist, and award-winning author. In her books, newspaper, and magazine articles, she writes on how to grow younger, based on a program of mind, body, spirit practices that succeeded beyond her wildest dreams to reverse her early symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So welcome to the show, Ellen Wood.
Thank you, Marianne. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, my goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about these books. So what even inspired you on this path?
Well, for 10 years, I watched my mother waste away with Alzheimer's, and her brain function got progressively worse until towards the end, she didn't even know me. And then 5 years after she died, I found myself with the early symptoms of Alzheimer's. My short-term memory became very fragile. My tongue kept tripping on words, if I could even find the word. And I used tons of sticky notes as reminders. Now, it wasn't severe. uh, I could function, but the kids noticed and they insisted I go to the doctor for testing. And then when I saw the doctor, she said, "What year is it?" And I laughed. And then she said, "Who is president of the United States?" And then I realized, oh my God, this must be the Alzheimer's test. Well, I aced the test, but because I had asked for that test, it went into my medical records. And when I applied for long-term care insurance, they turned me down because they found that Alzheimer's test in my records. Your listeners might be interested in that. Now, I'd always been on a spiritual path, and the authors that I uh, read most often were Deepak Chopra, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Marianne Williamson. In fact, Marianne Williamson endorsed my book. And I use those spiritual practices to keep them from becoming more severe, like prayer, meditation, watching my thoughts. And I devised this little process for myself where I would catch myself thinking or saying something negative, like, well, mom died of Alzheimer's, so it'll happen to me too. And this process, I would catch myself, and then I'd say, with every breath I take, my brain gets healthier and I get happier. And then I'd say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, Marianne, I wasn't thinking about growing younger. All I wanted was for my brain to return to normal. And it did in a very extraordinary way. I took in 2003, I went with a friend to remote viewing training with David Morehouse. Have you heard of remote viewing?
Oh, yes.
Yes, being able to see and experience something in another time and space. It was used by the Soviet Union to spy on the USA, and then the United States used it to spy on their enemies. And what you do is the teacher has in mind a target. The teacher knows what the target is, but the students do not know. And so he would give us numbers that would represent the target, and we'd write them down. Then we'd lie down on the floor, cover our eyes, and we'd have a paper and pen next to us. And he would play some music that would get us into a theta brainwave. And then we'd roll over and write or draw or whatever we experienced. And then they'd send us out of the room so that they could go and photograph those who had something that was close. And I was really good at it. In fact, for one, I drew an oval with flames coming out of it, and the target was the Hindenburg explosion. And then the next year, we both went to advanced training again. And David said, now he gave us some targets. And then he said, now I want you to go into the matrix and ask for messages. So we did that. And then afterwards, he sent us out to dinner. And my friend and I were going to a restaurant and we had to cross a 6-lane highway. And she said, "Oh, did you get any messages?" And I said, "Yes, I got a few, but let me give you a good laugh. I clearly heard spin clockwise to become younger." And she didn't laugh. She said, "Of course." I said, What do you mean, of course?" She said, "That's the number one of the 5 Tibetan rites of rejuvenation." She said, "My husband has the book and I'll lend it to you." I was just so in shock. I just stood still and she had to pull me out of the highway so I didn't get run over by the cars. And even at dinner, I couldn't even eat because I was so in shock that this could be something real. And so she lent me the book and I started doing the 5 Tibetans. I've been doing them for 20 years now. Sometimes I took time off, but for the most part, they're they're ancient physical movements, and they were used only by the initiated in the Tibetan monasteries, and they were kept secret for over 2,500 years. Then in 1939, the author Peter Kelder met a British Army colonel who had been in Tibet, and he told Peter Kelder all about these Tibetan rites and how to do them. So Peter did this book called Ancient Secret of Fountain of Youth, and these are to be practiced daily as a moving meditation. And the intention is to activate 7 key energy centers in the body called vortexes. Now, they're not the same as the 7 chakras that we're familiar with. There are 2 in the brain, one at the base of the throat, one on the right side opposite the liver, 2 in the sexual center, and 1 in each knee. And the purpose is to get those vortexes spinning at the same rate of speed as a strong, robust 25-year-old. Well, I'll tell you, Marianne, they certainly work for me. The early symptoms went away, my brain returned to normal, and later this year, my book will be published on the Tibetan rites. I'm coming out with one, the 5 Tibetan rites the right way. In the meantime, if people want to know how to do them, they can go to my website, howtogrowYounger.com, and scroll down till they see me in a pink sweatsuit and click on that video and watch it. By the way, I do have the APOE4 Alzheimer's gene.
That's just remarkable what you have been able to work through and overcome just with this profound information that you've received. And it seems that you were in the right place at the right time to get all of this information.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. There's also epigenetics plays a part of it, and that's how your environment influences how your genes are expressed. And also neuroscience. The neuroscientist Rick Hansen discovered that negative experiences stick like Velcro, and positive experiences slide off like Teflon. So he said, take a couple of minutes when you have something good that's happening to you, something positive. Take a few minutes and keep it and get used to keeping your mind on that positive experience and build it up that way. But it's the old part of the brain that sticks like Velcro. The law of attraction is very important for our lives. Like attract like. The energy of our thoughts attracts similar thoughts, and you attract people, situations, and circumstances that resonate with your vibrational frequency. And the law of attraction connects all minds to God. So if we just let go and let God drive, and we should enjoy the ride.
Now, wouldn't that be amazing? You know?
Yeah. An artist as well, and I'm I'm just doing a painting that says stress causes worry. Worry is wishing for something you don't want. Worry is wishing for something you don't want. And that comes from stress because all day long we're saying unintentional affirmations. And stress is the number one aging factor, and it is caused by worry. When I was a little girl, I used to be a worrywart. And my father would say to me, little girl, he was from Czechoslovakia, and he always had a heavy accent and a broken English. And he'd say, little girl, you don't think you can take a cat nap while God take care of things?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing to say that. But it puts things in perspective.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And you can't have sustained happiness unless you have happiness inside. So we need to let that outside stuff happen because it's going to anyway. And we can change it inside with prayer, meditation, positive affirmations, forgive everyone, and express gratitude.
In volume 2 of your book, you really dive deeper into the process. What
Yes.
prompted you to continue the journey for a second volume?
Because it was so good for me, and I had these grow younger practices that I had to share with people. Would you like me to tell you about those?
Oh, yes, I'd love to hear those.
Okay, well, number one is to observe your thoughts. And what I did was I would put WAITRN on little sticky notes and put them around the house. And when I would see it, I'd say, what am I thinking right now? And I would observe my thoughts. And I'm so used to observing my thoughts and hearing what other people are saying. And when I hear somebody say something like, oh, I'm too old to date, it's like fingernails on a blackboard. Anyway, that's number one. Number two is release toxic emotions with EFT, emotional freedom technique. Tapping on points in the body while you say something like, even though I'm stressed out and overwhelmed, I deeply and completely accept myself. I don't use that very often because I have a wonderful life. I'm so grateful for this life. I love it. But if I do have a toxic emotion happening, then I use the EFT and tap on different points in my body. And in the book, it does show you the different points to tap on. And then number three is to write and say a short affirmation and write it 7 times. That's 4 times with your dominant hand, twice with your non-dominant hand, and one more time with your dominant hand. And that will get the other side of your brain working. And then there's power posing. Dr. Amy Cuddy is a research scientist who found that the body can change the mind. And when we're stressed out and we lack confidence, we close up and we make ourselves smaller. And you say you hug yourself, your legs are together. But when you're confident and assertive, we expand, and she suggested that we hold that power pose for 2 minutes while saying, I am powerful. Are you familiar with the Wonder Woman? How she stands with those legs apart
Mhm.
and her arms out. So you say, I am strong and healthy. And then number 6 is to dry brush your skin. That stimulates the lymph canals that draw off toxins and shed dead skin. So you always want to brush towards your heart and get a brush with natural bristles. And thank each part of your body. Thank you, leg, for carrying me around. Thank you, hand, for holding the paintbrush. And then number 7 is to meditate. I do that every day. In fact, I have a friend who, for my birthday this past November, she gave me the gift of that we would each do the Tibetan rites rejuvenation and meditate twice a day. And then we would be accountable by texting to each other that we've done it or if we haven't done it. And that's a pretty powerful thing to do, is to have somebody that you're accountable to.
Well, and what a great experience to do that with a friend.
Yes, yes. And then number 8 in the book is do something good for someone every day. And if you're coming to the end of the day and you haven't done something, then text a loving message to somebody or give your dog an extra special pet. By the way, I'm 88 and I have no gray hair. They say that if you do the Tibetan rites every day, your hair does not turn gray, and mine doesn't.
Well, that's a gift. I think a lot of people would appreciate that.
Yeah,
But I think it goes beyond our hair. It's like how we feel and how we're able to function in the body.
you're right. You're right. That's absolutely right. We're on the verge of actually grow younger. Dr. David Sinclair and researchers from the Harvard Medical School and the University of Maine and MIT published a fresh research paper on aging, and it's called Chemically Induced Reprogramming to Reverse Cellular Aging. And I'm going to quote David Sinclair now. Until recently, the best we could do was slow aging. New discoveries suggest we can now reverse it. This new discovery offers the potential to reverse aging with a single pill, with applications ranging from improving eyesight to effectively treating numerous age-related diseases. And by the way, this breakthrough earned a Nobel Prize. I was reading this to my daughter Summer and her wife, and Summer said, "Oh my God, Mom, that's terrible. We don't have enough room for all those people." So there are two ways of looking at this. I'm looking at how exciting that would be, and I hope I'm around for it. But I expect to be. I expect to live a long time.
That is very exciting. I know in your book you talk about the importance of our energy and how can we start to restore and protect our energy on a daily basis?
Mostly watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts. Watch what you're thinking. As Rick Hansen says, that neuroscientist, your brain's going to latch on to negative thoughts and not want to let go. So you have to be aware when you're just saying something or thinking something negative, and be aware of it and change your thoughts. Think of something happy. Think of something good.
That's a real shift from where a lot of us have trained our brains to be or where our brains are naturally just seems to have a default line.
Yes, that's true. I'm coming out later this year with the book on the Tibetan rites, but I hope people will look at the video and follow me along. We've got 649,000 views on that on the YouTube, and I get a lot of people saying that they have learned how to do them from watching me on the YouTube. So if anybody wants to start right away, go and watch me on the YouTube.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Well, my goodness, Ellen, I mean, you're such a just a beautiful person and a wonderful resource. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
Well, if they go to my website, howtogrowYounger.com, and they can sign up for my newsletter, and I'd love to have them, and they can email me at ellen@howtogrowYounger.com.
Well, Ellen, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm really excited about this. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Ellen. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your books, The Secret Method for Growing Younger, Volumes 1 and 2. The Secret Method for Growing Younger volumes are available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere books are sold. And remember, support our indie bookstores. If you don't see it on the shelf, just ask for them to order it. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.